I'm Judith, and this is Cindy and Aviva, and we are the Jewish Day School Standards and Benchmarks Project. We're a field program of the William Davidson Graduate School of Education at the Jewish Theological Seminary. And we work with Jewish day schools across North America to enrich the teaching and learning of sacred texts and to enhance instructional leadership for Judaic studies as a whole. So through our work with these many, many schools across the denomination, from preschool to 12th grade, we help schools strengthen student engagement, critical thinking, and making meaning from sacred texts. So we're going to do a quick exercise ourselves of one angle we have for entering making meaning from sacred text, and then pull out again for the bigger picture. Where'd your posters go? Oh! Stand here. Stand at the mic.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Video camera too.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so right here in front, we have a statement and a question that we'd like you to read by yourself right now and think about as it pertains to any area of your life. It can be your personal, your professional, your imaginary, whatever area of life this statement and question somewhere intersects with you. And on the Post-it note, the blue Post-it notes, when you have a thought about that connection, about one or the other or both, please write it on the note. If you have more than one thing you'd like to say, use a new note for each idea. And when you're ready, come stand up and just stick it where it can fit up here. So I would like your responses.
Where it resonates. Doesn't have to be a right or wrong answer. Where you see a connection point. Yep, if you're ready.
If you're ready, yes. And if you'd like a second one, come take a second one. We'll give you a couple of minutes to think, write, post, and we're going to keep our foot on the gas and keep moving too.
Both the statement and the question made me think not just about the words leaving the mouth of the speaker, but how the words are then received and heard, and whether or not they're heard the same way they were spoken, and to think about that end of that part of the communication process.
So thank you. So now we're going to delve deeply into a short text excerpt. And this is a very familiar and dramatic passage from the Bible. This is the story of Chet HaEgel, the golden calf, and Moshe has just received Luchot HaBrit, the Ten Commandments, and is on his way down from Har Sinai. And first I want you to, and he has an interaction with God, with Hashem. And first I want you to read the passage for its plot by yourself, just to get the, what God wanted to do, Moshe's arguments, and what God decided to do. And then also try to sequence Moshe's 3 arguments, which we've pulled out for you on the cards, in order of strength of argument. Now, how do you choose strength of argument? That's your choice of what your criteria are. And once you've sequenced your 3 arguments, turn to your table partners and see. Explain why and see if you overlap or have different opinions. So enjoy the text study.
So always I have the horrible task of cutting you off right when you're in the middle of the conversation. But I'd like us to just think about this really brief session, what we've done right now, which was starting with where we are in life, using this, what we call big idea and essential question, from life, and then we brought you to the text. And then from the text, you dug deeper, and then I hope that in your conversations, you're able to come back and close that circle by coming back here and ask yourselves, how does the text help me make sense of my world? And how can I use the text as the support for these ideas and questions that I have about the world? And I would say in a nutshell is a little bit a glimpse of what Standards and Benchmarks tries to do with our students in classes as we go out and work with our schools. This We'll leave you with a final question before Cindy has another minute, but I'll leave you with the final question of, what do you think now that you could learn from Moshe about speaking out on behalf of others? Now that you've gone through this exercise, what do we learn now from what Moshe did, and how can that help me now speak out to affect change? And that would be a question that I'm stopping at right now.
You have
But does give you a glimpse into the kinds of classes that we are working on creating.
On the app for the conference, we've included materials from today's session and also about our program as a whole. So that's the best place that you can go for further information. We conduct professional development in day schools across North America and across the ideological spectrum, and from preschool through high school. We generally work with schools in a cohort program, and then we also have services for our alumni schools. Our work on curriculum and instruction with schools is built on standards that we've developed for Tanakh and for Torah Shebaal Peh, rabbinics. And we're happy to take a few questions now. I think, have a few minutes. And then feel free, our contact information is with the materials on the app, and you should feel free to reach out to us at any time. These are the collections of the standards and benchmarks. They're also available online. If you get in touch with us, we can share some access electronically. But just open for questions now if anyone has any.
You were just going into relating the curriculum and what we've just done back to the name of the project, Standards and Benchmarks. Maybe could you say a bit more about how it relates to standards and to what extent benchmarks mean measurement and what that actually signifies?
So we use the standards to help schools concretize the vision they have for the teaching and learning of sacred texts. They focus on particular learning outcomes and then use a process of backward design, very similar to understanding by design, to create learning curriculum units for students, and then out of those develop engaging learning experiences for students that include learning of the text, big ideas and essential questions. It's also assessment-driven. So the kind of engaging pedagogy that we hope you experience today and critical thinking are the kinds of learning experiences that we build into the units of study that teachers and Jewish studies leaders work on. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Outcomes that you've noticed from your own program?
So we worked with over 90 schools. I'll go here. So we've worked with over 90 schools across the denominational spectrum and throughout North America. And what we've seen in the schools is that each school is able to really implement their own vision. So the schools themselves have very, very different visions. We don't impose a vision. Standards does not mean standardization at all. It's a process by which we help schools be very, very intentional about their own vision and their own learning goals, and then how to implement and align those learning goals to actually see them in action with the students. So we see, and the students do a performance assessment, which to the students is just a whole lot of fun and it's engaging, but it's got a checklist, and the teachers and even the students know that they've actually checked off these very specific, meaningful learning goals of personal meaning making and skills and knowledge that they've accomplished. So we really see pride in the students themselves of what they've accomplished and joy in their learning, and then satisfaction on the teacher and curriculum and leader side that these goals that they thought very intentionally about are actually being seen and resulted in student achievement.
Yeah, so teaching kids how to guide and own their own learning more.
Exactly. Thank you.
I want to add another layer, which is that we also focus on the building of the capacity of Jewish studies leaders in schools. And so other outcomes that we see have to do with the ways in which Jewish studies leaders create collaborative faculty cultures, coach and mentor teachers in order to work both on the curriculum and on the instructional dimensions of their work.